Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. Today's video, we're going to be talking about something that we've never talked about on this channel before, and that is the strange case of the Minnesota Iceman. And if you don't know what the Minnesota Iceman is, well, it was the body of a supposed Sasquatch-like creature that was put on display back in the late 60s. Now, throughout the last couple hundred years, it was really common for people to take bodies of strange, mysterious animals on display, take them around the country, and charge people money to view them. So this Minnesota Iceman was a sideshow exhibit, and the owner of it was a guy named Frank Hansen. Now, there were many stories as to the origins of the Minnesota Iceman, as to where it came from. I think the first stories were that it came from Siberia, and then you'll hear stories of it coming from like Vietnam and like Asia, which is interesting because, you do have all the stories about the Vietnam rock apes. There's also stories of it actually coming from Minnesota, the forests of Minnesota, which I've recently actually been shown lots of interesting examples of Bigfoot evidence that have supposedly come from Minnesota. So the creature itself was frozen in ice. Apparently it had been frozen and thawed multiple times, so over the years it had changed positions slightly as it was on display, just due to that freezing and thawing process. What is interesting is that the Minnesota Iceman was first investigated by Ivan Sanderson and Bernard Heuvelmans. These guys were like the pioneers of cryptozoology. I'm pretty sure Ivan Sanderson came up with the term cryptozoology. I could be wrong on that, but I think he did. Now, they both felt that this creature was a real dead creature, some sort of primitive human or something along those lines. A Bigfoot, possibly a juvenile Bigfoot. It wasn't like built like an adult Bigfoot would be. Like, it wasn't the size of Patty. It was rather small. So some people think it was a juvenile Bigfoot. But eventually, after it was put on display for a little while, the FBI was actually taking interest in this because, they thought there was some sort of murder that went on. And, they thought that this guy, Frank Hansen, was touring around a body of some sort of human or humanoid. Now, Ivan Sanderson and Bernard Heuvelmans said that there was actually a smell emanating from this frozen creature. Like, it actually had a stench, and most dead or decomposing things do. So that's a very interesting element. Now, once the FBI apparently caught wind of this, Frank Hansen and the body of this creature disappeared. And I guess after that, the FBI kind of lost interest because this Frank Hansen guy eventually came back with a body, like another, I guess, version of the Minnesota Iceman, but this one was definitely fake. Ivan Sanderson and Bernard Heuvelman said, like, the creature they initially saw was different than this new one. And it would seem that after, the FBI caught wind of this, and there was like a high chance of Frank Hansen getting in trouble for having this body, he disappeared, created a fake one, and that's what he used to tour around, I guess, to make it look like he never actually had a real body. So that is very interesting. Now, he would probably think he's in trouble because his later story, he claimed that he had actually shot the creature in Minnesota. And the creature itself, as you can see in these images here, it has its arm up around the head. And apparently when it was shot, a bullet went through the arm and through the one eye of the creature. And there's, some serious damage around the eye and the back of the head. I guess one of the eyes was hanging out. And there was, entry and exit wounds on the arm as well, and broken bones. So it did appear like this creature was shot. It's also reported that there was, in fact, a creature that was made up out of latex rubber for Frank Hansen, and I guess it cost something like $3,500 to create. And if the original version of the Minnesota Iceman was real, then this creature that was made up is the one that was put on tour after the original one disappeared. And yeah, this new version of the Minnesota Iceman is actually currently on display, I think in Texas at the Museum of the Weird, it's called. So yeah, that was back in 2013, where it turned up and it was purchased by the owner of the Museum of the Weird. So if you're in that area, I mean, go check it out and see a piece of Bigfoot history. But it does appear when you dig deep into this story that there was two different versions of the Minnesota Iceman. You have the original version that was first studied by Ivan Sanderson and Bernard Heuvelmans, that they determined to be very real. Had a weird odor about it, and just looked different after, it disappeared and then reappeared again. Now, I did say that it was frozen and thawed a bunch, and that kind of changed the position of the body. But I don't think that is to the extent of what the difference was in these two different creatures. So, lots of people believe that the Minnesota Iceman is a hoax. And, when you hear stuff like there's multiple different origin stories as to where it came from, like that does sound suspicious. Like, why would you keep changing the story like that? I don't know. But, it is possible that maybe it was, in fact, a juvenile Sasquatch. Maybe the first version was that. And if it did come from Russia, if that was the true story, then it could have been the Russian Almas, which is, the famous Bigfoot creature that is said to roam the forests of Siberia. Now, taking weird taxidermy around and charging people for it, that has been a thing for a long time. Here in Canada, in Alberta, we have Banff National Park, and Banff is like a very famous national park. Like, people around the world know about it. There's a store in that town called the Indian Trading Post. They actually have in a display case an old, weird, taxidermed merman. Not a mermaid, but a merman. And it's been there for a long time. And I remember going to see it as a little kid. And you can see in these pictures here, it looks really strange. It does look pretty realistic, but it is fake. It's made up of multiple different kinds of animal parts. But I guess they kind of dated this thing back to, like, I think they said it's as old as like 1915 or something like that. So people have been doing this kind of stuff for a long time and charging people money to see it because, back then we weren't aware of like the hoaxing thing, I don't think, as much as we are now. But, it was really easy to trick people into seeing these sensational, weird, bizarre things, and they were toured around, and people actually did pay to see them. And stuff like this has gone on for a long time. Like I said, back into the 1800s, anything anyone could do to make a dollar and to make it into the newspapers. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Minnesota Iceman is completely a hoax, but there's just that weird element of like the original body vanishing and then reappearing and being very different after the FBI are interested in investigating murder. So yeah, I don't know, it could have been real in the initial year of it being out there and being studied, and then Frank Hansen got scared, disappeared with the body, and in that time had the fake one created for $3,500 made out of latex rubber, and then that has been the Minnesota Iceman from then until now, and which is the one on display at the Museum of the Weird. So I am speculating, but I find this story interesting, and I've never talked about it here on Mountain Beast Mysteries, so I thought we would, give it a whirl, and I want to see what you guys have to say about the Minnesota Iceman. Do you guys think it's real? Do you think it's the one case of an actual Bigfoot body that could have been recovered and could have been witnessed by the public for a short period of time. I mean, so you hear stories like that and they just sound like crazy. Like nowadays, in more modern times, we had the Rick Dyer body that was, shopped around, and then people paid to see that. And it looked way worse than what this Iceman looked like. And I always think, like, if the Minnesota Iceman was real, I wonder what this guy did with the original body. Did he just get rid of it? Did he dispose of it? Is it stored somewhere? Is it buried in the ground somewhere? Like, it could actually still be out there. And we don't know. I suspect, if he thought he was going to get caught for murdering this thing that looked almost like a human, that looked very human-like, I suspect he probably just disposed of it and got rid of it so it would never be found again. But like I said, my main problems with the story is the multiple origin stories of where it came from. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. If any of you guys have any theories, let me know in the comments down below. Very interesting story. It's fun to read. This is one of those classic stories in the Bigfoot world. Lots of really great stories from back in the 50s and 60s, and they're the ones that really get us excited about the topic because they're so fascinating. But it is what it is. I'm trying to look at everything objectively from both sides and just share the information with you guys, and you can make of it what you like. You can believe it or you can choose not to believe it. If you want to support Mountain Beast Mysteries, you can do so through the GoFundMe link down in the description. You can also do so through the PayPal link on the main channel banner. Every donation helps to keep making these videos and to get out into the bush to make the more illustrious documentary style videos. So thank you to everybody who's donated so far. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.